Alrighty, so I wanted to go ahead and make a video of the 2020 Hyundai Kona. Now that it is completely iced over, make a video of how well it defrosts in the ice. So here in North Carolina, we have gotten a ice storm. It kind of looks like snow that's gone through. This is literally ice, just a whole layer of ice. So it kind of sleeted slash freezing rain, and then that froze over, but then it thawed out and melted and then froze over again. So there's this whole layer of ice. I can't put my hand in the seam of the car. Literally, ow, okay, that hurts. Everything is ice. There's a sheet of ice all in the glass. Everything is covered in ice. So I want to see, well, how well does oh, yeah, the door handle is literally frozen. So I want to see how well does this car defrost in conditions like this, because this isn't just snowy, this is complete ice. The car is cold soaked overnight. It's been sitting for, I think, what, 2 days now? Should be fully charged. So let's see how it is. It does, okay, so this door handle isn't frozen. Alrighty, I'm pulling pretty hard. I don't want to break something. Oh, goodness. Alrighty. Yeah. That's a lot of ice. Okay, so the door was frozen, but I was able to open it. The wind was blowing from that side of the car this way. So that side is considerably more iced up. But I mean, that's all rock solid. So, let's get in the car and see how it is. It is cold. I'm starting to shake. We've had this car for 2 years now. There is 33,508 miles on it. Heated seats. You don't mind if I do. Heated steering wheel. Heat that seat. Why not? Just in case. I don't know. And let's turn on our interior lights to give us some light. Okay, so charged up to 100% battery, and it's still at 100% battery, so there was not a lot of parasitic drain. We're gonna we'll just turn AC off for now, even though we don't want the air to be too humid anyway. And we'll let the heat run. So if you look in here on our accumulated info, whoa, little too much zoomed in, zoom back out. There we go. All right, so that timer there is counting to the minutes. So it's at 0 minutes right now. So we're gonna see how many minutes it takes to literally de-ice the whole car. And also, how much battery are we gonna go through? I'm interested to know that. How much battery are we going through? So right now, it says 30 degrees out. That's probably pretty accurate. It is below freezing, but it has warmed up a bit. It says it estimates 240 miles of range at a full charge, but right now it's giving us an estimation of less than 200. And we can see our climate is using 4.26 kilowatts. Again, our fan speed is low right now. Let me crank it up. In theory, if I put it at full blast, it would probably defrost faster. And then let's turn on the rear, because if you look at that rear window back there, well, I mean, it's iced up, but except for the very top part. And then these side windows completely iced. And the top of it, well, let me turn off the light. This is gonna be interesting. Just how long does this take? There's already warm air coming out of the vents. That's one of the lovely things with an EV. I don't have to wait for an engine to heat up. We are 2 minutes in, and I can literally feel warm air coming out of the vents. And we are still not quite at 5 kilowatts. It will get above that. But that being said, I don't have the fan speed on full. Now it's interesting, so this is the ultimate package of the Kona. It has battery care, which means it has an onboard battery heater. And battery care, from what I can tell from reading online, it engages whenever it is 14 degrees Fahrenheit or below. That's 10 degrees Celsius. So, or at negative 10 Celsius. So if it's negative 10 or 14 Fahrenheit and below, then the battery care will kick on. And I think I've only ever seen it kick on maybe one time. So I'm shaking a little bit right now, because it is quite chilly, because, you know, I decided to go outside in shorts, so that was smart. So I'm hoping to get warmed up here too. We are holding pretty stable right now. at 4.9, but you know, it's already warm. I'm gonna go ahead and just hit the AC button, turn it on, just in case it does want to crank the AC to dehumidify a bit. It's not really humid in here though. Let's put it up to full blast, and okay, it's ramping up the power. And let's check our battery. So we've lost 1%. Well, that's to be expected. Our range went down, so I turned down the fan speed. See, we're at minimum, still at 82. That's the max temperature. And our estimated range, 198. Crank the fan speed all the way up, and you can literally see it live. It adjusts your range based on your climate. It's pretty quick to react with that. I'd say the guessometer in this Kona, I mean, I've been driving this car for 2 years now. It's a 2020 model. It's the ultimate package. It does a decent job guessing its range, but decent is maybe a little too generous, because sometimes it's really just not that accurate. I find myself guessing the range more accurately than the vehicle, because I can look at the battery and go, hey, in this climate, once the cabin warms up and I turn down the fan speed, yeah, I might get 200 miles of range out of this car, and it's rated for 258. Right now, it's guessing 157. I've never, ever seen it that low before. I've never, ever seen it at 100%, well, 99% now, at 157 miles of range. That is such a low estimate. Now, granted, it's ripping at full, you know, we are going at, let's see, we're already pulling 1 kilowatt for the electronics. That's a little on the high side. And we're at 5.45. Now, I was told that this car has a heat pump, and don't know if that's true or not. However, that's what I was told. But upon what I can find online, it said that only the Canadian or UK models that were the ultimate package had a heat pump, but the American models, for the US market ones, did not. It just has a resistive heater. So I don't know how true or not true that is, because I was told this car does have a heat pump, but now I feel like maybe I need to chase the window sticker down and see what it says, because I always thought that this car did have a heat pump. You can hear the AC compressor kick on, but then from looking up online, it looks like, well, it just kicks on for dehumidification. So I'm actually going to turn down my heated seat a little bit now, because it's already starting to warm up in here. We've been running for 6 minutes. So that's what the back window looks like right now. So the back window is de-icing. Side window's completely frosted up. Again, this side is more frosted than the other side. We still can't see anything. Still at about 6 minutes. And the top glass is entirely frosted over. Still at full max heat. We're putting out a lot of heat. You can actually see right here, some of it's been melting, and I can start hearing crackling. Yep, you can literally see it right there. It's already starting to come off right there. All right, well, let's go outside the car and see how it is. We have to have the obligatory beep to let us know that we are out with the key fob. All right, well, that's all water and that's ice. So it is melting quite nicely. This is still a hard layer of ice. And what's crazy is the air intake for the climate is under all this ice. It is still sucking up air and putting it in the cabin of the vehicle. You can actually feel the airflow. It's crazy how it's covered in ice and it's still managing to suck in air. And now I'm sure there's probably a backup air intake maybe somewhere in case that's completely clogged up. Maybe there's one under the hood. I'd love to pop the hood, but it's completely frozen shut. I mean, I literally would not be able to get the hood open. It is entirely frozen. I'd have to crack the ice, which it'd be interesting if it starts melting a bit. I do not hear any AC condenser kicking on at all. I wonder if we can open these doors at all. I don't want to. Nope. still can't open this door. The door handle does move though. But that is still, you can see it's starting to try to break the ice there. Oh, that just went right in my face. All right, so it is open. Albeit quite frozen. Ooh, need to warm up my hand there. Ooh, that was cold. We are at 5.8 kilowatts, so still ripping the heat. We're at 98% battery, so we've lost 2% battery. We've made enough progress to get the doors open, so that's not bad. And our back wiper is completely frozen. But the glass is starting to melt, so that's good. Starting to heat up, and you can see all the water dripping down past the license plate. So it is actively melting it, even on the back. You can see all this water dripping right down here. So, yeah, that's not bad. I'm pretty impressed with how well this thing's melting the ice. And as I walk around, like, I'm not even punching through the ice to get to the bottom of the driveway. You can see kind of the layer there. It's really only about maybe 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches. There's still ice all on here. These really don't get hot, which is surprising. Though it is still melting a little bit. I mean, it is probably getting a little bit warm, but like, that's still pretty ice cold. Charge port's completely frozen though, so that would be an issue. Unless it's locked. Let me double check and make sure it's not. Let's hit the unlock button. Okay, so the charge port is stuck. So if you were to try to charge this car, you would have to break this ice. Let's try to see if I can break enough of it to get it open. Ooh, I imagine that ice up here is what's really keeping it. It's definitely on there. But I don't think taking this ice off here is going to help. Okay, so yeah, I would have to try to find a creative way of melting this ice just to get the charge port open. So if your car was caught like this and you didn't have it charged, you have to have some sort of way of getting this undone. Which, I mean, if you just poured some water, not even really hot water, just a room temperature water over this, I'm sure you'd melt it enough. Or if you had a hair dryer, or maybe even a little portable space heater, that you might be able to just kind of have blowing on the front of the car for a bit to try to melt it. But yeah, that's definitely a bit of a problem. I can't imagine trying to get the hood. I'd love to pop the hood and see if any ice blew into it or up underneath it, because all this is still frozen. We could see ice dripping off the back end of it, but not off the front end. Yeah, and this is entirely frozen. I can't even budge the wiper blades, and it is still entirely frosted. All right, well, let's go back inside the car because it's pretty cold to be outside in shorts. But you can really see just how much is melted off the side windows. And so we got the top. Okay, I still can't see at the top, but I can already start seeing out the side there, so that's pretty good. But this is entirely frosted over. I mean, I would not be able to operate the windshield wipers to try to clear the windshield. If I try to turn them on, I mean, they're completely frozen solid, so I would imagine that would cause some sort of damage. So at this point, if I needed to drive somewhere, we're nice and warm inside. We're 16 minutes in. So 16 minutes, we've gone down 3%. Right, 97% battery, still pulling full power there, 5.99, so just short of 6 kilowatts. And it just kind of modulates up and down a little bit. And we have it going to the defrost as well as to the floor. And that's something about this car that is pretty interesting. The floor is super cold and it stays super cold basically throughout the winter. Yes, I do have the floor mats down, including here. You know, I got well, you can't really see much there, but I have the floor mats. But your feet stay relatively cold unless you have the warm air blowing on them. Because there's just not a lot of insulation in this car. There's not a lot of insulation between the battery and the floor of the vehicle. And I really wish they put some more insulation in there so you really wouldn't feel the cold as much by your feet. I can definitely warm up my hands on the steering wheel. Well, that's nice. This side window, I almost wonder if we might be able to start rolling down the window here soon. You can see the ice is completely starting to crack, going all the way down there. So it's definitely melting. It's literally dripping off the sides here. So it's clearing the front windows pretty good. The back window, man, that's still pretty frozen up. And this window, still pretty frozen. So are these back windows. The very back window is about halfway thawed out. But the front's kind of the big one. Just how long is that going to take to thaw out? Well, while we're waiting, just to give you guys an update on the car, and especially on how it compares to that fully electric Volvo XC40 out there, this car does some things better than the Volvo and other things maybe a little worse. One of the things it does considerably better is the lane keep assist, and the adaptive cruise works way better in the Hyundai than it does in the Volvo. The ride, obviously this car is not as quiet. Its ride is a lot stiffer. The Volvo suspension is tuned to be a lot softer. The Volvo handles really well. It's very quiet. But what I do really like about this car is just how well it drives. And in terms of handling, it handles really well. Especially if your tires are a little bit on the higher end of PSI, which right now it doesn't show us, but you know, in this kind of weather, I generally keep my tires at about, you know, at least 40 PSI cold. And they're generally at about 44 PSI warm. And I find that firming up the tires definitely helps because the suspension's already a little stiff in the Kona. Yeah, it's already starting to melt pretty good. You can already see the water start coming up underneath the ice. But everything else is still... Oop, I pushed and I heard a crack. Ah, look at that. Look at that right there. So it is starting to melt. But those wiper blades are entirely frozen, so that's going to be interesting. Will this be able to thaw out? Because normally on a gas car you would have a lot of heat come in from the engine bay coming up through here to help kind of melt that down. That being said, if it's cold enough, it's still going to be pretty frozen. But you can see the ice is already just melting right off the car. So that's pretty good. I do not know if these mirrors are heated or not, but they are not iced up. Oh, they are heated. Oh, those are nice and warm. Oh, that's cool. There's no little symbol or anything to indicate that these mirrors are heated, but yet they are nice and warm. So that is cool. So the 2020 Kona, the Ultimate, does have heated mirrors. I honestly do not know if I knew that or not. So that's interesting. All right, cool, learned something new. Let's check on our headlights. So these are still ice, albeit I can take my thumb and basically kind of break some of it off, but that's still iced up. And of course those are accent legs, so that doesn't matter very much. Charge port. Yeah, I mean, that hasn't melted at all. That's still very frozen. And there's no heat in the front of this car. So I do not see how the front of this car is going to de-ice at all. You know, if we just look at the chargers, yes, this is a NEMA 1450 going to splitter to going to two separate completely frozen over connections. But this is down to 16 amps and that one's at 24 amps. So both running together, they only pull 40 amps. They're a 50 amp circuit, so it still works perfectly safe. It's starting to bow a little bit. So the water underneath it's expanding. You can tell that's already starting to melt right there. So again, look at that mirror, it's totally clear. And again, this is where the ice was really blowing. The wind was coming this way. So the mirror is nice and warm and heated. And it's thawed out and you can see it just fine. And our back window though is still struggling. There's still a lot of ice here. Although it is loose enough that I can literally just peel it right off the car. Wearing Crocs was a great idea. Alrighty. So yeah, just like that, the ice is broken away. Let's see if the rear hatch opens in this temperature. I can hear the solenoid. Okay. Ooh. Oh, nope, it is not holding its own weight. All right, so there's ice all up in there. This thing is heavy. And there's not even a huge amount of ice on it, but it cannot even hold up its weight. And it normally can hold up its own weight with its struts. But that's about as high as it goes, and there it goes. It's just falling down. So that's interesting. As long as you hold this up, you can still get this open so far. And then boom, it just falls. Let's see if we can get a back door. Oh, okay, that opened just fine. Just fine. Look at that. Well, so far this car is de-icing better than I expected, because I did not expect to get the rear hatch open. Let's go back inside and check on things now. We're at 26 minutes and still 5.9 kilowatts. Still running full blast. We're at 96% battery. So we've used 4% battery and we're still not de-iced enough to drive. I mean, that windshield's completely frosted over. And the roof's still completely frosted over, but the back window's clear, so that's a good sign. Let's yeah, there's the back window. Let me turn on that rear wiper blade. And the rear window defroster came off. It only runs for, I think, maybe about 20 minutes before it automatically kicks off, which is kind of surprising. I would think it'd run longer than that. And then the heated steering wheel generally runs for about 30 minutes before it kicks off. We're at 5% battery at 30 minutes. So yeah, let's see if we can still get that charge port open. Let's hit the unlock button again, because that's what I really want to know is yeah, so we cannot get the charge port open, so that's still frozen. I would love to be able to just lift off this giant piece of ice. Oh, here we go, here we go. There we are. Yeah. And we have a windshield again. My hands are getting very cold. Can we move the wipers? No, those are entirely frozen. So this would have to be done by hand. But it is it's coming off. Just like that. It is melting. I think that about concludes this video. How long does it take to de-ice the fully electric Kona after it has been sitting for 2 days in the ice, just completely freezing. And I say 2 days, it really is more like 1.5 days. Oop, about dropped my phone. All right. I don't know if you can see that. There is steam coming off the, yeah, you can, look at that. You can see the steam coming off the glass. That is crazy. So, I mean, yeah, it's still cold outside. It says 30 degrees Fahrenheit. That, I think, is exactly what it is outside. So it's not super cold. The temperatures went up. It was well below that. It was down into, I want to say the coldest it got was like 17 degrees Fahrenheit. So decently below freezing for a North Carolina climate, because, you know, it doesn't really get that cold in North Carolina. Well, at least in the majority of the state. It's a little different when you get up into the mountain. Oh, and just a little side note there. Our 12-volt battery is at 14.5 volts. So we still have plenty of voltage on the 12-volt battery. You can see our electronics supplying the 12-volt battery there. Our electricity usage has definitely come up, and I guess we can try to get a little bit more ice off. We're at 40 minutes now, so 40 minutes, 5% battery. Now, let's say we're at, you know, 95.1 and it's about to be 94. Let's just say we've used 6% battery. So if we used 6% battery in 40 minutes to de-ice, in my opinion, that is not that bad. Considering we have fully de-iced the car, apart from the charge port. There is no heating on the charge point. I think that's a really big issue with a lot of different EVs, is that they have not put heating elements in the charge port. It'd be the same heating element, just like the mirror. You know, this is entirely de-ice. No ice on it, no nothing. Why is there not some heating element up under here to help melt that ice off? That charging port is completely frozen from all the ice up here is just frozen down onto this, and then all through here, all up under here. You know, that's all frozen. Why is there not a heating element right in here? You know, especially if you're driving down the road and it's below freezing temperature, you're going to get so much ice buildup on the front. And I think that's partly a problem with putting charge ports at the front. I think it'd be much better if they were off into the side of the vehicle, whether they're up front or towards the back. I like towards the back. I like backing into charging stalls. I don't like facing them. So I think where Tesla has their charging ports always on the rear driver's side of the vehicle, if I remember correctly, Teslas are always on the driver's side of the vehicle. I think that's the best place. I can get out, boom, here's the charging handle. You know, I can be backed into a stall, and then you can put a heating element right here and melt it. Here's the Volvo. We'll have to see if Volvo does have any sort of heating around the charge port door, because this is all hard ice right now. However, I don't think Volvo does. So, but that's going to be the second video. I just heard a piece of ice fall off the car, so there's a... Oh, the glass is warm. There's actually warmth in the glass now. Alrighty, let's send all this ice up. Let's see if we can possibly use a little bit to so this will come off. Alright, so yep, I could definitely drive around now. Yeah, it's definitely still pretty icy around the wiper blades. That's turning into slush though, so it's melting, but it's still frozen. See if we can work at getting it unfrozen so we can try to use the wiper blades. Ideally, if I were to drive around, I would want the ability to use my wiper blades in case something covers the window, but that is still very frozen. And our sensors are all covered up. So our adaptive cruise, our lane keep assist. Oh, okay, now they're uncovered. Dash cam's uncovered. That's good, so I can record when I crash into something. Someone crashes into each. You know, in this weather, I definitely want that dash cam to not. You can see the steam coming right off the glass. All right, well, that's all melting pretty well. You know, if you were out here in temperatures below freezing, I would not recommend being in shorts, and I would not recommend using your bare hands for device. I would definitely recommend wearing gloves, because that's what a smart person will do. But I might not be the most intelligent of people, so we're doing this way. Oh, they're still frozen though. Ooh, okay, we got something. There we go. We have a free wiper blade, and that one too. Alrighty, look at that. So just put that down. This blade free. Yeah, that is a free wiper blade. Alrighty, cool deal. So let's just leave it at that. Let's turn on the wiper blades and see what happens. Ooh. My hand is ice cold. You can see all of the steam coming off. So let's hit that, hit those wiper blades and see what happens. Oh, well, that's interesting. They just got stuck. So I wonder, is the motor still struggling? Or are they smart enough to know, hey, something went wrong and they stopped struggling? Ooh, okay. So no, the motor was still struggling the entire time. So that, I guess, brings up a whole nother issue. Make sure to have it fully de-iced, because I can easily rip this off, but the blade wasn't strong enough to rip it. And that motor still struggled to come up, and then once I lifted it up, it immediately tried to come back and it couldn't. So that is very interesting. Okay. Alright, so now we know the wiper blades. I would have liked for the wiper blade to have deactivated and like paused and then maybe try to reactivate later so it doesn't strain itself. But apparently that's not the case. Now, it doesn't look like the wiper blades are damaged. They're not making any noise. They're not they're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They're working just fine now. But that is very interesting, though, how leaving that ice chunk up there possibly could cause some harm to the wiper blades. And I would say that doesn't just go for Hyundai vehicles. I imagine that's probably just about any vehicle. We're at 48 minutes on runtime, 94%. It's nice and toasty warm in here. And we're ripping at, you know, the full 6 kilowatts now. And we have completely defrosted that window very sufficiently. We've not quite fully defrosted the top yet. And we'll go ahead and turn on the rear glass just to keep that on still. This back window's gotten defrosted though, so that's cool. But yeah, I could drive this car now. You know, I can take this down the road, and you know, I'll just knock off the ice right up there a little bit. And now this car is drivable. You know, if I would have had a scraper, I could have probably scraped this ice off a lot quicker, and we could have gotten on the road a lot quicker. But I really just wanted to see what can the car mainly do under its own power if you don't have a scraper, if you don't have anything, and you're really stuck. Now, being stuck for near 50 minutes would definitely not be very enjoyable. So, but you know, if you're waiting in a gas car, you'd be waiting for the engine to heat up before you even could start to de-ice the car. And in an EV, you got heat after just 2 minutes of running it. We already had heat. So I feel like this would have won against a gas car. But either way, this car it's been a really good car for what it is. These cars are not super expensive. You can get Hyundai Konas on the used market, low mileage, for pretty cheap. They're decent cars. They get about 250 miles of range in the summertime and about maybe 210, 220 in the wintertime, which is perfectly adequate for road tripping. We've used 93 kilowatts, but we still can't charge it unless I were to de-ice that charge port door. That thing is completely frosted over. So we'll go ahead and close this, because I always just like to keep that closed. And I think it's about time to go ahead and just turn off the car. I could charge it back to 100%, but I don't really feel like there's a need to do that. So we'll just let the remaining heat in the car turn back to cold. See, with climate off, it thinks 224. Range, it thinks now is 180. Just at 223, but 181, so that's interesting. And it says right now, take an hour and 30 minutes to level 2 charge to bring it back up to 100%. Now, granted, when it is trying to go from, like, you know, your 97 to like 100, the charging speed slows down. This car charges at 32 amps, so it doesn't charge super fast on level 2, but it only has a 64 kilowatt hour battery, so it's not like you really need to charge that quick when you only have a 64 kilowatt hour battery. That's just not a very big battery. So that's the nice thing about these smaller electric cars, is that they're more efficient. They have smaller batteries, which means you just don't have to put as much energy in them. Alrighty, well, if you have any questions about this car or about electric vehicles in general, I would say leave the questions you have in the comments. Someone might be able to answer them. I might be able to answer it. That is if I check the comments, because I'm generally pretty bad about doing that. But that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was just kind of a long-winded video of me ranting as we just slowly defrost a car, but hopefully this kind of gives you a little reasonable expectation of what to expect whenever you have a completely iced up car and your car is a basically 6-year-old now electric vehicle. So electric car, 6 years later, 0 battery degradation, still get the same amount of range as I can get when this thing was brand new, and it still works perfectly fine. Nothing's gone wrong in it. I mean, there's no lights on. It drives perfectly fine. We got 33,000 miles on it. All the buttons still work. All the features still work. So yeah, so far been happy with this car. There's a few rattles in the car, and I think that's just first generation Hyundai kind of rattles. So that's kind of a little annoying. Wish that wasn't the case, but it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. So not the little piece of ice right there. Alrighty, well, I'll see you in the next one.